All right, today is September 19, 2024. This is the meeting of the Kubernetes Storage Special Interest Group. As a reminder, this meeting is public, recorded, and posted on YouTube. We are going to go through the 132 planning spreadsheet and get a status update on the items we've committed for. Reminder that the production readiness freeze is on the 3rd of October. So if you have anything going into this release, that's a date to keep in mind. And if you have anything that you want to discuss, feel free to add it to the agenda. The link to the agenda is in your calendar invite. With that, I'm going to go ahead and move over to the planning spreadsheet, and we'll start getting status updates for items. So for 132, we don't have too many. A lot of these were moved over from the 131 release. If you feel like there might be something that we want to add, let me know and I'm happy to add it. So we'll start with recovering from resize failure, moving to beta. Any update on this? I don't think Hemant is here.
Hemant, he has opened a cap update.
Got it. Perfect. Cool. Thank you, Jan. Next is volume group snapshot. That's going to be moving from alpha to beta this cycle. Any progress on that one?
Right, so we are still reviewing the EG tests. So I pinned Hemant to help review it because this test is still different from the others. We'll need to install the CRDs, RBACs, and snapshot controller. It's going to be running a kind cluster. So yeah, just want to make sure that's the right way to do it before we merge this test. And I also have a CAP update ready for review. So I pinned Ben to review it first. I think Michelle's out, right? So we'll need Michelle to do an API review as well. I also drafted a message to be sent out just to ask vendors if they have implemented this feature and if they are okay with moving this to beta. So I'm asking Ben to take a look and before I send it out.
Perfect. Cool. Thank you, Shing. And I guess ask for anybody in this group who might have implemented volume group snapshot. We're going to need that information for moving to beta, so please let Shing know. Cool. Thanks a lot, Shing. Next, we have CSI volume health consider moving into beta this cycle.
Yeah, I need to schedule a meeting so we can discuss this. I have not done that yet.
Sounds good. Okay, then we've got CBT, change block tracking.
So this one, yeah, this one is still a work in progress. So folks are working on that. The repo, this is a snapshot metadata repo. And also they also need to add a new ETB test for this one.
Cool. Next one is enable privilege containers for Windows to replace CSI proxy for Windows. This would be an alpha implementation if we move forward to it. I guess there was a question about whether we wanted to move this to 132, and we wanted to wait for follow-up or additional implementations. Did we end up getting more information on this? Eddie, I see you're on the line.
Yeah, so this is not tied to any Kubernetes release. This is referring to the CSI proxy library, which we want to graduate to beta It's currently in alpha, and we're looking for more than one provider to implement this. So there's currently a PR open in the GCP CSI driver, but I see it's marked as rotten, and there has been no activity for over a month. But yeah, that's basically the requirement. We need at least 2 providers to implement this so that we can graduate the library to beta, and the EBS CSI driver already implements this.
Yeah, thanks for the update there, Eddie, and I guess shout out to anybody on the call. If you are implementing this already, please let us know. That is going to be a key requirement for us to get this to beta. It sounds like we have at least one driver already implemented, so if we can get one more, that'll be important for us to get this to the next level. Thanks, Eddie. Next, we have the SE Linux relabeling using mount options. Anything new on this one?
Yes, I'm at David Eads, and I am updating the cap. We most probably need a new API field in a pod spec to opt in or opt out from the new behavior. And yeah, cap is in progress.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you for the update on that, Jan. Go ahead and mark that as started. Next, we have volume attribute class. Last status was this was going to stay in beta and needed to add quota support. Give time for more drivers to implement it. Anybody on the call have any additional status on this?
I think the only update on this one is that, if I remember right, the quota support was waiting for some issue to be fixed in a different, I forget what the area was. I think it had to do with the application SIG apps. There was some issue that SIG apps needs to address before this can move forward. So it would be good to understand what it would take to get that done, because without that, we'll not be able to move forward on this.
Got it. Cool. Thank you, Manu, for the update on that. Next, we have storage capacity scoring, how to sort, moving hopefully to alpha this cycle. Anything new on this?
I think we're still waiting for the PRR review.
Sounds good. I'll go ahead and just copy that over. Next, co-owned with SIG apps, volume expansion for stateful sets, alpha this cycle. Anything new on this one? Cool. Last status was updating on cap after discussing with SIG apps. I'm going to go ahead and mark it as no update for now. Next is with SIG node, non-graceful node shutdown tests. Likely no update on this one. I don't see Jing.
No update.
Okay. We'll move to the next one. SIG apps auto delete PVCs with stateful sets. Move to GA. Anything new on this one? Okay, gonna mark that one as no update as well. Add option to option to disable the 6-minute force detach timer. I don't see Ben on the call. And I don't think Rohit's on the call either. Next is Cozy overall move to V1 Alpha 2. Anything new on that one?
So still work in progress.
Okay.
Still working on merging the repos, ETV test. So they're now trying to use a different framework to ETV test. It's called the chainsaw. So yeah, so those are in progress.
Cool.
Trying to add some link chat.
Got it. Sounds like work is happening there. Thank you, Shing, for that update. Next is CSI sidecar all in one. Do we have any update on this one?
I got a note from Mauricio and others saying that there hasn't been any major update in the last couple of weeks. So
Got it. Okay. All right, thanks, Manu. Next, we have volume populator data source. Add metric support and testing out of tree. Michelle's team was working on this. Anybody have an update?
Michelle says it's likely going to be next release, so it's not going to be targeting this release.
I guess, do we want to keep tracking it here?
We can probably cross it out for now, right? We don't need it.
Out here. Okay. Next one is CSI migration for Portworx, getting that to GA.
So I pinned Luis about this one. He said it's going to be 1.33.
Okay, sounds good. So we'll go ahead and move this to 133 as well. All right, next we've got remove dynamic provisioning support from host path in tree volume plugins. This would be design only. Anything new here?
I have not checked with Clary, not sure. And also, I think this will be blocked by the Portworx CSI migration. We won't be able to really remove that from in-tree until all the plugins are, all the in-tree plugins are removed.
And given their GA is moving to the next cycle, should we move this to 133 as well?
Yeah, I think he can probably, if he can do design, but I don't think we can actually target in that. Let's release.
I guess this is designed for this cycle, so I'll leave it.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Shing. Next is remove Git repo in tree plugin. This was deprecated a long time ago. Any updates on this one? Do we have an owner for this one?
So there is I think Chris, but I do not know his full name. He was here in this meeting, one of these meetings, but have not heard from him after that.
Okay, we'll mark it as no update for now. If anybody else wants to help pick this up, let us know. Okay, with that, we're going to go ahead and switch over to the normal agenda. We have a couple of items. First up from Jan. Jan, you want to talk through this one?
Okay, so we in Red Hat, we are invested heavily in KubeVirt, and what we noticed that CSI drivers don't work well with virtual machines. No, not all of them, but there are many CSI drivers that are bad. One thing is that When you are running virtual machine in KubeVirt, you always need at least one PV per VM. While when you are running containers, not every container needs a persistent volume. So the number of persistent volume grows. And when you attach too many volumes of many CSI drivers to a single machine, the number of devices grows a lot. You consider you have iSCSI or fiber channel with 4 paths in multipath, and you use 1,000 VMs on a single machine. You will end up with 4,000 devices, no, 5,000 devices, and kernel doesn't like it too much. Another thing is that the CSI drivers have variable quality, let's say in this way, and running, they're not used to run thousands of PVs on a single machine, not even hundreds of PVs on a single machine, and they are slow, they are racy, and all the other crazy bugs happen. And another thing is that KubeVirt needs read-write many for block volumes to do virtual machine handle, how do you call it, migration, when you move it from one host to another. And not so many drivers provide read-write many for block volumes. So what we decided here in Red Hat is to start a new project. We call it KubeSan. There is a link in the document. It could help if you have, like, not very old, but you have a storage array somewhere in your company, you want to use it, but the CSI driver for that, it's not that great. So using that KubeSan thing, you can create one huge volume, like tens of terabytes, hundreds of terabytes, map it to all the nodes in your cluster. So it will be shared volume by every single node in the cluster. And using KubeSan CSI driver, you can cut small PVs out of that one huge volume. And the KubeSan will do the clustering and make sure that the volume is writable only where it should be writable and so on. There is some LVM magic involved, but the target is KubeVirt, definitely. They are doing some optimization to make KubeVirt happy and fast, but it should be generic for anybody. So it doesn't need KubeVirt. You can do traditional PVs and run it with containers. It could be interesting for any others. So I would be curious if anybody is interested. It's going to be open source. It is open source. For some reason they used GitLab. I don't know why. So you can play with that. There are not so many diagrams there yet. I hope they are going to add more to explain the architecture, how it's useful, why it's useful. So yeah, anybody is invited. Any contribution is welcome. It is open source. We are not interested to close it. Also, if you have any feedback, like cutting one giant LAN into many PVs, if you have any scaling concerns, and so on.
Cool, that sounds pretty cool.
I think it's going to be bare metal, for bare metal mostly. Like in the cloud, it doesn't make sense.
One quick question, Jan. I don't know if this even makes sense, but I'm just wondering, is using some kind of LVM-based scheme an option here?
It is using LVM underneath. The thing that cuts this one giant LAN into smaller pieces, it's going to be a VM and clustered LVM with
Okay.
all the bells and whistles and fin pools.
Okay, so
snapshot.
so you are basically managing LVM volumes underneath.
Mhm. Yes.
Interesting. Okay. And
Think
is
you-
that management part of the CubeSAN driver, or are you relying on existing capabilities of the kernel to manage that for you?
both. We are using whatever is available with LVMs today. And they have, I forgot the name, they have a clustered LVM thing that you can make logical volume appear on one node and disappear on the other nodes atomically.
I see.
So that's in kernel today, but they are writing the real CSI driver to manage that from the CSI driver. I forgot the, come on. It used to be cluster LVM, but then it was renamed to something that I forgot. But yeah, LVM and clusters. And it should have snapshots and everything that KubeVirt needs. And surprisingly, KubeVirt needs almost every capability that we have in CSI.
Yeah, I found it interesting that you called it a CSI plugin and not a regular driver. So I was curious about that.
Well, no, it is just a CSI driver. Nothing special about that.
So CubeSAN is a CSI driver that sits on top of something else, or?
Yes.
Got it.
And that something else is Fiber Channel or iSCSI. And currently, we don't solve what it is and how it appears on nodes. Like that's implementation detail right now. Somebody probably manually needs to go and configure that storage array properly. But once this giant LAN appears on every node, then CubeSAN will take care about the rest.
Cool.
Sounds really interesting, actually. So,
+1.
Any feedback is welcome.
one other question. You mentioned that you tried a bunch of different CSI drivers and they were variable in quality. You know, without at the risk of, I don't want you to name names, but I would be very interested in knowing, like, maybe we can talk offline or something if there are things that you saw in any of the AWS drivers that we can help improve in that respect. So
Like again, this aims at bare metal where virtualization in KubeVirt makes sense. So I would say all the cloud ones are okay, and at least what I saw, but they are not the use case for KubeVirt. For
right.
running virtual machine in Kubernetes, like there is the cloud for that. That's probably doing it better.
Cool. Yeah, I'll take a look at it. It sounds interesting.
Thank you.
Well, thanks a lot, Jan, for sharing. Any other questions about CubeSAN? All right, we can move on to the next one. Is it Atrif?
Yes.
Cool, go for it.
So briefly, the idea with this document is about to adapt the sleep period for the desired state for populator and also the reconcilier based on the event emitted by the CRI event stream. So the main goal is to reduce unnecessary work during inactivity. And of course, we will keep the batch mode. So the 100-second of the batch mode for the existing implementation, it use the batch mode on each 100. It execute on each 100 milliseconds. So So we will only adapt this batch mode based on the event emitted from the CRI. So we will not remove completely the batch mode, but we'll only adapt the sleep period. So the design details, so it will based on two events, container created event and also create container deleted event from the CRI. And when the event is captured from the event stream, we will execute the existing logic. So we will not change anything on the existing logic, but we will increase gradually after the third execution because we don't want to unpack the existing retry logic. So after the third execution, we will increase the sleep period, for example, by 100 milliseconds with the threshold, like, for example, 1 second. And if after a second event was captured, we will redo the same logic.
Got it. That's a cool proposal. So basically optimize the desired state of the world populator loops instead of running every 100 milliseconds, have a dynamic runtime.
Not only the desired state of populator, also the reconcilier.
And the reconciler.
Okay.
I can imagine the populator could be manageable, but the reconciler, it may need sync after many different events. For example, a volume gets attached or detached, or CSI driver gets installed. And
Okay.
do you have a list of events that, here it is. Contained, created, and deleted. Well, that's not much.
Okay. So it will not catch all the events.
Yeah, like from top of my head, like just the volume attachment, detachment, CSI driver installation, removal. There can be many others that I don't know yet.
Okay. I can, for example, start by the desired of state populator. And after that, for the first step, and after that, I can check about reconcilier what the event needs to list, and after that, I confirm with you and start working on it.
Yeah, I'm a bit afraid there will be things that we just forget, and there will be regressions. We will forget about some event that is important for reconciliation, but nobody remembers it anymore. And
so you mean it's not a good idea to move to event-based approach for reconcilier?
It would be awesome to get there, but the way there is a landmine. There are many unknowns that nobody remembers anymore. But yeah, it would be awesome to get to event-based volume manager and maybe even attach detach controller. That would be awesome.
Sorry, I haven't read the KEP yet, but I was curious to understand what is driving the KEP. Is there a specific problem you're trying to solve as a part of this change, or are you just looking to optimize the code path?
So the initial task was in a issue raised on GitHub. I linked the issue on the document. It's
Got it.
so it was about kubelet that runs on standalone mode. So normally it will not need too much activity on this node, for example, for a std node.
Yeah, I guess this would reduce CPU usage considerably. It would be cool to get some data around how much that improvement is. Sounds like next steps wise, desired state of the world is probably a good place to start because we know probably all the events that should be triggered. That'll be a good place to start to prove this out, and then populator or the reconciler itself will be a much bigger hurdle because of all the tasks, all the events we need to monitor. We need to do it in a way that ideally doesn't cause regression. So I think the key thing here will be doing a lot of testing and making sure we're not causing any issues and proving that. But overall, seems like an awesome effort. Ashraf, would you be interested in driving this moving forward? How do you want to proceed?
I will start the PR and I create it as draft. I will, because I work there in my spare time, so
Yep.
I start with some tests. For example, I will inspire from other PR that is inspire from other cap that is event plague state. It's already implements this logic about the event stream, moved from a batch to event stream approach. So mainly I will inspire from them.
Got it. So basically you're saying there's already an existing cap that you could piggyback off of and just create a PR?
Yes.
Got it.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts, questions on this, folks? All right.
Thank
We
you.
will end it today. Everybody gets 20 minutes back in their day. Thank you so much,
Uh,
folks. Oh, go ahead. Is that Manu?
Yeah. So one quick thing. Just wanted to provide one update. We are thinking of we are currently working on a KEP for the better handling of or a proposal to make the CSI node allocatable property mutable. So this was something we had discussed, I think 2 or 3 meetings back, and we'll probably come forward with a KEP at some point in the next couple of weeks or so. So just wanted to check if we could get that added to the main planning spreadsheet, and also, like, I think for now it would probably be in the design stage. So
Yeah, absolutely. What do we want to call it? CSI allocatable property?
I think Eddie can comment on what a more suitable name would be. Eddie, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's a good name. We can call it mutable CSI node allocatable property.
Okay. Yeah, let's just do that right now. So mutable CSI node allocatable property, and mark that. Sounds like you guys are already doing work, so I'll mark that as started. Priority 2. This will be design or alpha.
I mean, it will depend on, what the feedback is
yeah.
from the community. We would love to, get it to a point where we can actually get it beyond the design stage, but I think depending on how things go, it
So let's put down stretch goal of alpha, and we can always reduce that to design if we need to.
yeah, that sounds good.
And who's the dev lead for this?
It's Eddie.
Eddie.
So yeah.
Okay, and yeah, we can start tracking this.
Do you want to open an enhancement issue? Because if we want to opt in, the deadline is that October 3rd with the PRR deadline, right? So
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, we should have something to share soon. So we'll see if we can make it to by the October 3rd deadline. So
Yeah, if not, no big deal. We could switch this to design and then we can push it to alpha the next cycle. So no pressure.
yeah, sounds good.
Cool. Thanks, Manu.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Any topics? All right, then we'll go ahead and end it. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
bye.